Show as we're at Levi's Stadium on a Friday, and we're brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out. They're in Emeryville. They're in Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out. And they do run out, so get there early, get some brisket chili. Tell them that Krug sent you. We're down here in Santa Clara getting ready for a big Niner Friday. Kyle Shanahan will speak later on. I'll head out to practice. Chase Sr. and I will be doing a live stream at 10:45. Damon and I normally stream in this 9 a.m. spot, but he was on vacation with his family, so we're not streaming today together. But John Lynch just spoke. Normally, Lynch speaks on a Thursday on KMBR with Murph and Marcus, but today, because the Niners play on a Monday, they moved that Thursday to a Friday. So let's talk about everything that Lynch talked about today with Murph and Marcus. And the conversation, first of all, Niners getting ready to take on the Panthers. The storylines here, CMC against his former team, the Brock Purdy, game number 2, back from the toe injury, at least from resting from the toe injury. Can the Niner defense step up? Curtis Robinson steps in for Tatum Bethune. Can the 49ers are 7-point favorites at home against the Panthers. Panthers roll in playing well. They've won 5 of 6 or 5 of 7, and they're playing pretty well. And they just beat Atlanta, so they're riding high. So those are some of the subplots involved in this game. And then with that as the backdrop, John Lynch sat down with Murph and Marcus, who are in Hawaii. Enjoying Hawaii, the Big Island. And the first thing is, hey, Brock Purdy, what'd you think? We hadn't talked to you since Brock Purdy played the Arizona Cardinals, John. What did you think of Brock Purdy? And he said, hey, I have a lot of confidence in Brock Purdy. And he said, hey, that Sky Moore 98-yard kickoff return was clearly a spark. And then Murph, followed up with, hey, did you think he looked healthy? And he's like, well, he didn't run. But John made it sound like that was more like game conditions and just the way the game went and not any limitation from Brock. But I would disagree. I would say Brock is more hesitant to not run. So I think that's kind of clear. So anyway, there's that. And then, let me get the little, there we go. Okay. Sweet. Got that. Okay. A little password. Oh, wait. People are chiming in on the chat. I'm doing this today on my phone because we're having a problem with the password on my laptop, so we're doing it on the phone. So, morning frozen, Mr. Larry on live. There you go. All right. So people are alive and chatting away. Good morning, Larry. Glad I was finally able to catch a live. Let's go, Larry. You're good. Thank you. Good morning, Larry and all. Look at that. We got a bunch of people chiming in the chat, which is very cool. Did Lynch address the lack of pass rush? We'll get to that. So, we got a super. Can you picture this being a high-scoring game? Yeah, I could. The Panthers are going to need to score. I think the Niners offense and the Niners defense is probably going to struggle. And yes, I would imagine this is going to be a high-scoring game. But let me just get through this, and then I'll get to some of the chats. But basically Lynch said, "Hey, Purdy thought he looked healthy," and I thought Purdy looked healthy too, except when it was time to run, where he just looked like a little bit. Like, just because we know he's got the toe, he looked a little like not wanting to run. And, I think I thought that kind of came across. We'll see in game 2 if he actually takes off and runs, if they give him some obvious rushing lanes. He was asked about Eddie Pinheiro and the injury to Eddie Pinheiro. Eddie's got a hamstring injury, and the Niners signed Matt Gay. And they said, John's like, yeah, we call him Eddie Money. So I thought that was kind of funny. He did advise Eddie Money not to be so fiery, and if he is fiery, maybe not pointed at Calais Campbell. So that was I thought that was kind of funny. And then Lynch also said that, he was asked about Matt Gay and what they liked about Matt Gay. And sure enough, Brant Boyer, knows Larry Izzo, and they had a conversation, special teams coach to special teams coach, about Matt Gay. And Izzo assured, Boyer that Gay was going to be a great addition, even though he's having a terrible year. He's made only 68% of his kicks. He's made 13, he's missed 6. I mean, that's not a good year, but he has had a good career. He had a good career in LA. And Lynch said that, hey, we went against him a lot, and this guy's got Super Bowl experience, playoff experience. I think they value that. But I think at the end of the day, it was really more like special teams coach to special teams coach. Hey, what do you think of my guy? Take my guy. I think everybody's covering everybody here, but it's only a couple-week fill-in for Eddie Pinheiro, so it's hardly a huge decision. Lynch was asked about the defense and how the defense got 3 turnovers against Arizona, and asked if that was fortunate or good luck. And he said, hey, you cause your own luck. And he said, we need to keep it going, with the turnovers. And I thought he made a good point. He said, we need to play more as one, as a defense, and be more tied together. The 49ers don't have the Will Andersons and the Danielle Hunters off the edge now that Bosa's out, but they do have Bryce Huff, who I talked to the other day in the locker room, and Bryce Huff's a really interesting guy, by the way, really interesting guy. Lynch has said, hey, we need to play more as a unit, as a defense, and, be more coordinated. They're not going to have the kind of rush that they had before. It's just not possible. But I do think there's a chance that if their front and their coverage is tied together, they could still have some good sequences and maybe even cause some turnovers. It's about timing, which is about practice and cohesion, and can you get it down? Can you play your down and distance? Can you be tied together? I mean, can you be a thinking man's defense? How smart can you be as a defense on the back end? Upton Stout, I see the incredible football IQ with he knows his down and distance. He knows on each play what the goal is. And if every guy played like Upton Stout, I think they'd be in a good spot. So he was asked about, hey, you got 12 sacks, you're 32nd in sacks. And Lynch is like, hey, what can we say? I mean, but I'll say this. I mean, I would love to see them see if they could find somebody else on somebody else's practice squad that they liked, or somebody off the street, because they need more help. Some fresh body. There's got to be somebody out there that they could get. Other teams do poach guys off other teams' practice squads. There's K'Mon Rucker in Baltimore. I think he could help. There's Mo Kamara in Tampa Bay. I think he could help. And I'd love to see them go for one of those guys. He was asked about Nick Martin and as a pass rusher, and he didn't really address it. But I mean, I think at this point, you got to put your athletes on the field. Nick Martin runs in the 4.5s, and he can hunt quarterbacks at Oak State. Get him in some sub package and run him at the quarterback. I don't think it's that complicated, but we'll see. We'll see. We saw him last week. Finally, they dusted him off after us pleading. And he played 14 snaps. 13 of them were good. He gave up 1 pass play. He made 7 tackles. 5 of them were solo. He's one of the best athletes on the team. Get him on the field. I don't even want to hear any excuses anymore, really, about it. The offense, Lynch was asked, hey, now does the offense need to carry the load? And whatever he answered, the offense does need to carry the load. And, Lynch talked about how they're the number 1 kickoff return team in the NFL right now, with Brian Robinson and Sky Moore, and that they're getting a better contribution on special teams, and the offense is getting healthier. The bottom line is, if the Niners are going to have any success, they're going to have to be carried by their offense and special teams. Now, if you follow this team, you'd have to be carried by their special teams. They're cooked. But you never know. It's getting better. They've got Brant Boyer. They've got a good kicker. They've got a good punter. They now feel like they've got a good return man. They've got the number 1 kickoff return unit. They've got some guys like Farrell and Gifford who are making tackles on special teams on the coverage units. So maybe they can have a special teams renaissance here. And then maybe the offense can score 35 a game. And if you score 35 a game and you play well on special teams and you get a turnover or two, you can win any game. So I think that's really it right there. And Lynch kind of acknowledged that it's going to take a team effort, and it absolutely is. Lynch also mentioned that Carolina's going to be a tough opponent. They've won 5 of 7. They just beat Atlanta. They're playing good ball. They're feeling themselves, as he said. He said Ricky Pearsall is going to be even better this week than last week, which was good because last week he had no yards. So better than no yards? Really? You want to go out on that limb? Are you sure you guys want to go out on the limb? Better than no yards? So you're saying he's not going to have negative yards this week? He's going to have positive yards. I thought I got a kick out of that. He's going to be better this week. I get the sense he's going to be better too. I just get that vibe that he's going to be more productive than he was last week. I'm just good at this stuff. I'm good at these predictions. This is where I make my real money. Something will be better than nothing. Remember that. He was asked about how Houston got 8 sacks. John, you guys are struggling to get sacks, and these guys got 8. And he said, man, D'Amico has got those guys playing ball, and there's no question. Houston looked great last night against Buffalo, got the win. Then the topic of the big game came up. Of course, John went to Stanford. Stanford and Cal for the 128th time Saturday night in Palo Alto, Stanford Stadium. I'll be there. John says he'll be there as well. I love John's memory of the big game. He was like, yeah, Denny Green made us walk right through the student section. And John loved that. Were you going to throw a punch at John Lynch? He would have destroyed you. You're some random student as here comes the Stanford football team walking through your section. I'd have to almost picture that, see what that looked like. And then I thought it kind of a cool little end of the interview. 2 things came up. One, that, Bill Walsh, how ruthless Bill Walsh really was at his core. He was just a totally ruthless guy, and he just wanted to beat anybody into the ground. Just an incredible competitor. I thought that was interesting because he, Lynch and Walsh, and then also Lynch said that, he wanted to play baseball, or that he didn't want to play baseball. He thought he had to play baseball, and that Bill Walsh convinced him, hey man, you could be a Pro Bowl safety in the NFL. So there you go. So somebody's like, are the Niners covering this week? I don't know about that. It's a big number. I think that's kind of an inflated number. To me, the better play is to tease it with Carolina and get Carolina with 14. I think that's pretty much the lock. Pair it with something else to make a little money. But yeah, Bill Walsh, he talked about Walsh is ruthless. And then John even went into a little sidebar on how Roger Craig needs to get to the Hall of Fame. And I'm probably most passionate about that. I mean, Roger Craig belongs in the Hall of Fame. If Walsh were still alive, Roger Craig would have been in the Hall of Fame by now. Walsh carried that kind of weight. But instead, Roger's still on the outside looking in. He's the original 1,000. Jerry's workout was Roger's workout. Just Jerry got credit for it. Jerry Rice runs the hill of Northern California. That was Roger's hill. That was Roger's workout. And Jerry also did it. But, I mean, Roger was the one who had those guys running up that hill originally. Jerry just made it more famous because Jerry was Jerry. But also, I think Jerry needs to be brought up when you bring up Roger's Hall of Fame candidacy, because there's only one football. And there's only one football. And the bottom line is, it's hard to have a 200-yard receiver and 100-yard rusher. It's hard to have the running back and the receivers all produce at the same time. And I just think that really people have marked Roger down because he played with Jerry, but in reality, his stats would have been greater had he not played with Jerry. Jerry's unbelievable statistical resume came at a price. It suppressed the statistical resumes of the other guys who were also awesome that played with him. Brent Jones was better than his stats. Ricky Waters was better than his stats. John Taylor was better than his stats. And Roger Craig was better than his stats. Why? Because Jerry had all the stats. Because the ball kept going to Jerry. And that's what made Jerry tick, and everybody was fine with it. Because, why not? He was the best of all time. But Jerry needed those touches to feel good about Jerry. Roger was more of he felt good about Roger no matter what, whether he touched it or not. Roger was there for the W. Not that Jerry wasn't, but I'm just saying that Jerry was driven by factors that he needed the ball, had to have the ball, where Roger could be happy not having the ball. And I think all the personalities at play, all those OCs and all the play callers, all the teammates, everybody knew the deal. And so Roger could have been even better than he was. He could have been utilized more than he was. He was amazing in '87. He was the Offensive Player of the Year in '88. He was the best player on the Super Bowl in 1989. We're talking about the best player, one of the best players in pro football for like 4 years running. And if he doesn't fumble in the '90 NFC Championship game, he's in the Hall of Fame already. I mean, one fumble cannot keep you out of a Hall of Fame. A Hall of Fame career cannot be undone by one fumble. Sorry. So Roger belongs in the Hall. And I'm very passionate about it. I told Roger, I did some events with Roger, and I'm like, man, I want to see you in that Hall of Fame, and I'm going to talk about it. And I did a whole thing on the pregame show with Dennis Brown and John Lund a few years ago, and then Mark Craig turned it into a whole, deal where he went and interviewed Eddie and Steve and all the guys. Incredible job he did, trying desperately to get Roger to the Hall of Fame. I've talked to Matt Mayoko. I've pleaded with Ira Kaufman. I've told people everywhere, coast to coast, Roger Craig needs to be in the Hall of Fame. People talking about Frank Gore, third leading rusher, is going to get in the Hall of Fame. If Frank Gore gets in the Hall of Fame before Roger Craig, something is really, 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 really wrong. Okay? Simple as that. Somebody said, where's Lund? I just talked to him this week. He's relocated to Scottsdale, Arizona, and he's doing a number of different things, including his media career. He's continuing his media career from Scottsdale. So Johnny's a great guy. He's one of my best friends. I told him, give him some good ideas, and told him if I can help him, let me know. So love that guy. All right, let's hit some supers here. I think I can just touch the screen. Wait a second. Oh, they disappear on me. Where are the supers? Let's see. Oh, there we go. O-line, okay. This is from Eric Pierce, 688. O-line played its best game so far. Defense young and going to improve. There is still hope. All right. I hear you. We got that. We got that one. Let's see. It's a little bit more difficult to do these on my phone. If I miss any supers today, guys, I apologize. Did we get that? Oh, here we go. What's the lowest price you would take in a trade for Mac if he doesn't play another down for the Niners? I would want at least a second and a high day 2 pick, like a 4th or a 5th. That's what I would want, at least that. If I got a 2nd and a 4th or a 5th, I think I'd be pretty happy with that. Let's see if I can do a few more of these. I want to make sure I get all the people who, oh, there's a bunch of them. There we go. What's good, Larry? Good, no Damon Bruce. Thank you. Let's not pick on Damon, especially when he's not here to defend himself. A lot of people saying good morning, everybody. Good morning. We got this one from MSQ. He says, can you picture this being a high-scoring game? Yes, I can. I definitely think this is a high-scoring game. I mean, look at what the Niners are doing. Look at their defense. The Niners can't stop anybody, and now with Purdy, I think the Niners defense can score 30. Pearsall, I mean, guys, this has to be the Pearsall bust-out game, right? Nick Bosa says, Darnold wasn't fixed in San Francisco, no volume. Carolina stats were better. If San Francisco revived him, San Francisco or Minnesota would have paid him. I mean, go talk to Darnold himself, and he'll tell you, oh, paid him. He got paid after Minnesota. Revival equals Minnesota. Yeah, I hear you, but if you actually talk to Sam Darnold, he would tell you that his real, turnaround was when he worked with Brock Purdy because he learned how to prepare. Brock Purdy is very comprehensive in his preparation. When I say that, I mean, he goes through and looks for every possible wrinkle on every possible on every play that they're going to run. Every possible look a defense could give him and what his answer is. And he catalogs that, and he does it every week. And I remember talking to Darnold about it. He's like, man, I'd never seen anybody who was that thorough in their preparation. I've never seen anybody that complete with what they were doing. And I think that, more than anything, really, if you wanted to say what changed things for Sam Darnold, I've heard interviews he's done. He doesn't mention Kyle that much. He mentions Purdy and the fact that he learned kind of how to prepare from watching Brock do his thing. Let's see, we've got a couple more here. I want to make sure we don't miss any, just because I'm on the phone, so it's kind of a goofball setup. Normally I could do this with on the side, and I'm doing this with my finger. Okay, we got Nick Bosa's. Thank you, Nick Bosa's. We got that one. Got people sending me Facebook friend requests in the middle of the show. We got that one from Eric. Let's see. Got a lot of chat today. All right, so I guess we got all of them. All right, so a couple quick thoughts on this game this weekend. One, Carolina's got this running back Dowdle, who's really jump-started their year. And he had a 200-yard day earlier this year against the Dolphins. He came back the next week against Dallas and had 183 or something like that. Two huge games back-to-back, and he's been their guy ever since. But he's been kind of tiring out the last couple of weeks. I mean, I've seen him go for 2.5 yards a carry in each of the last two games. To me, this is where this game's gonna tilt. Is Dowdle the guy who we saw earlier this year against Dallas and against Miami, and he's just rumbling and they can't stop him and he's going for 5, 6, 7 yards a carry? If that's the case, they're going to be a really, really tough team to beat. Why? Because Bryce Young can move. Teteroa McMillan is 6'5", 210. He's a really talented guy. They target him a lot. They've got a three-headed tight end with Tommy Tremble and Mitchell Evans and Jatavion Sanders that's really effective. And if they can have success running the ball with Dowdle, they're going to put up points. I would say 20 to 30 points, and maybe more. If they can run the ball. If Dowdle has success running the ball against the Niners, it's going to be a long day. It's going to be the Niners are going to have to win a shootout. Okay, so that's the first thing I see is that Carolina offensively, it really comes down to can the Niners stop Dowdle? If the Niners can stop Dowdle, then I think you got a shot to really bother this offense. It's not a good offense. I mean, it's not a good passing offense. They're not highly rated. They're not highly ranked. They haven't had a lot of success, but they're hot. and they're feeling good. And McMillan's coming off of his best game, and Bryce Young's coming off of his best game. Bryce Young is the reigning player of the week in the NFC. So, he's the offensive player of the week last week. He had 400-plus yards. So, Carolina, to me, is offensively, it's about, can you stop Dowdle? And then, Tommy Tremble and Evans are really sticky-fingered receivers. That also concerns me on some key third downs. Can they hug up on these guys? Tremble's got a little bit more speed than Evans. Evans got a little bit more size, but they're both really smart and good quality tight ends. So, and Sanders is probably the most athletic of the three. And so they use their three tight ends. They use McMillan, and they're going to run the heck out of Dowdle. They've got Chuba Hubbard as well. But it's not a great offense, but it will look like a great offense if they can't stop Dowdle. So that's, I think, the number one thing. Number two is when the Niners. Let's flip the card and talk about the Niners offense. You got to get Derek Brown blocked up front. He's pretty dynamic. You're talking about a 300-pound guy, 315, 320-pound guy who moves really well. And that's why he was such a high pick. So he is dangerous up front for sure. That's a guy you got to watch for. They also have a nickel corner named Chow Smith-Wade, who played at Wazoo, who's a really good playmaker, very aggressive on the ball, makes a lot of plays. So you got to stay away from Chow Smith-Wade because he's got good ball skills. He'll pick off the ball. But other than that, I think their defense, and especially their linebackers and the guys in the middle, there's had some injuries. Niners should be able to work them pretty good. McCaffrey could have a huge day. To me, it's the success of this game is going to be, can the Niners get McCaffrey past the line of scrimmage? If he can get to that second level, I think against Carolina, he could rumble against these linebackers and have a huge, huge performance. If the Carolina defensive line is beating the Niner offensive line and McCaffrey's running into a wall, that to me is that's an issue. That's an issue. Because then that's been the problem this year. So the Niners have had a hard time getting McCaffrey to that second level. That's why he's averaging 2.5 yards a carry in a couple of these games. Now, this last game, he went off, and they're running the ball better. Seems like Barch and Brendel, and now Pooney's healthy. Seems like they're improving in the middle. So I'd like to see that trend continue. If the 49ers could run the ball in the middle, man, that would really help, because we know they've got Purdy, and they've got some nice weapons in the pass game. They have the number one passing attack. If they could get the running game going, they could start to score 35 a game and really dominate on offense. And then it's just a matter of, can you get a turnover? Can you make a big play? Can you make a couple big plays on defense? If you're playing well in special teams and you're scoring 35 a game offensively, you don't need to be, this dominant shut you down defense. You just need to make a play. Make a play, cause a turnover, and you win the game. You win the game because you scored 35 and you made 3 or 4 big plays on special teams. So you never know. You never know what your equation is going to look like as the season goes on. The other thing that you never know is you never know how teams are going to play. I mean, there's going to be some really good teams that we think of as Super Bowl contenders right now, and maybe even better teams than the Niners, that probably are not even going to make the playoffs. I mean, is Detroit going to make the playoffs? Maybe, maybe not. Is Kansas City going to make the playoffs? Maybe, maybe not. Is that Houston team that we just saw win last night, are they going to make the playoffs? Maybe, maybe not. I mean, it's like, so there's the Chargers going to make the playoffs? Maybe, maybe not. Somebody good is going to be on the outside looking in. Anthony Catania says, "Good morning, Larry. This feels like a playoff game. Go Niners." And thanks to Anthony Catania. Anthony, is from our sponsor from Sharp Corner Sports Cards and Collectibles. And they are at 205 Cypress Avenue in Pacific Grove, California. Anthony's at 831-521-5264. He's offering free shipping on all of his sports collectibles shipped in the continental U.S. between now and the end of the year to Krug Show listeners. So, and viewers, I should say. So, if you contact Anthony at 831-521-5264 and order whatever, he's going to ship it to you for free, just because that's what he's doing for the Krug Show. And by the way, we're doing the Krug Show meet and greet at Pig and a Pickle on December 7th. It's week 14, the bye week. I will be there, and Anthony donated a Ricky Pearsall autographed mini helmet that we're going to give away. So if you want to win the Ricky Pearsall autographed mini helmet, stop by Pig and a Pickle on Saturday, December 7th, or Sunday, December 7th, I should say. I will be there for the entire day, eating barbecue, hanging out, and having a good time. I think I'm going to bring the wife. She's going to stop by, at least for part of it. She's going to do some Christmas shopping. By the way, Corte Madera Mall is really cool, so you can do a little Christmas shopping as well. You can stop. Maybe you want, I don't know which game will be on. I'm not even sure which game is going to be on during the bye week. I'm just there hanging out, but it's going to be a lot of fun. So stop by. We'll have some stuff to give away. We ordered some Krug Show merch that we'll give away as well to the people who show up. So thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being a proud sponsor of the Krug Show, and thanks to Anthony Catania as well for being a proud sponsor of the Krug Show. Let's see. Do we have this one? We got this one from Gio. Larry, the center from Florida, Jake Slaughter, great picking up stunts and blitzes, moves guys, short yardage. What do you know about Slaughter for the Niners? Nothing. I'll study him, though. I don't know anything about Jake Slaughter right now. I mean, I haven't studied him at all. And I usually, you know me, I won't fake it. I won't just be like, yeah, old man Slaughter's kid. Love him. Powerhouse. Huge future. It's like, no. I won't actually just say that just to say it. J49 says, I need to see your press pass. Why is that? Why is that? Larry hating on Pearsall is tiresome and makes no sense. I'm not hating on him. Score a touchdown. I like how if I point out that the guy hasn't done anything, everybody's like, you're hating on him. How about stop sucking up to somebody who hasn't done shit? Jesus. I'm rooting for him. It's not like I'm rooting against him. I'm not one of these guys that sits there and goes, ooh, I just want to be right. I don't want to see the Niners win. I don't want to see Ricky do well. I want to be right. I want to be right. No. I want him to do well. I'd rather be wrong. He's a good guy and obviously a key cog for the Niners. Heck, I don't think the Niners could win the Super Bowl without him. I really don't. He's going to have to be really good. If they're going to win the Super Bowl, he's going to have to be really good. Simple as that. The rest of their receivers are slow, really slow. So he's got to do it. He's the guy who runs 4.4. He's the guy who was drafted in the first round. But hey, excuse me for noticing that it's almost Christmas and he has no touchdowns. And he's played 5 games. And last week he had no yards. And I love how it's like, if I mention when he has this week against Carolina, Ricky Pearsall could go off. It could be Monday Night Football. He could go off. He could have 11 catches and 2 touchdowns. And guess what? A bunch of people are going to be telling me, see, Ricky, Krug, see? So if those people can go off and tell me that I'm wrong when he has 12 catches and 2 touchdowns, why am I not right when he comes out and runs 85% of the routes and has nothing? Nothing. I would just like to. I'm not saying he's got to be Jerry Rice, who scored 22 touchdowns in a season. I'm just saying I'd like one. How about one? Can we have one? A touchdown? Is that asking too much? Think about it. The Niners in the last 2 drafts in the first round have drafted a defensive lineman who has 1 sack and is now out for the year, and a receiver who has no touchdowns. I mean, it's like, and that's in the first round. That's your first round pick. You know, the bottom line in the NFL is you got to get production. You got to get production. You know, there's no ambiguity about this. I mean, Jim Harbaugh said it. It's the ultimate meritocracy. You either do or you don't, you know? And it's just really as simple as that. You do or you don't. And so far, Mikael Williams has not got a lot of sacks. And so far, Ricky Pearsall has not got a lot of touchdowns. And there's almost no way to be good without production. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm the best talk show host of all time, but I've never been number 1. What? Wait, what? You're the best talk show host of all time, I thought. How could you never have been number 1? And yet there are people that make those claims. I'm the greatest of all time. Really? Have you ever been number 1? No. Usually the person who's the greatest is the person who wins. I mean, could you imagine if somebody was like, who was it? Wasn't it Dwight Howard that said, like, one year, I'm a champion in my own mind or something like that? It's like, you could be Bill Russell in your own mind. It doesn't make it true. Anyway, I don't know how we got on this sidetrack. But anyway, thanks to Pig in a Pickle for being the title sponsor of the Krug Show. Thanks to Sharp Corners, Sports Cards, and Collectibles. We also should tell you guys that this entire football season is presented on the Krug Show by Sleeper, the fastest growing fantasy platform in the world. It's a one-stop shop. You get blazing fast news, real-time stats, group chat, season-long leagues, and of course, Sleeper picks for daily fantasy. Use promo code Larry. Sleeper will match your first deposit up to $100. Links in the description. Terms and conditions do apply. And thanks to Sleeper for being a proud sponsor of the Krug Show. Someone says, Pig in a Pickle or Mac Jones? What do I like more? The brisket. Ooh, but Jen Jones is so accurate. These are such tough questions. Larry does more ads than Brock. This is Larry Krueger for Northern California Toyota. I'm pretty disappointed Larry doesn't know Jake Slaughter. Do you know how many prospects there are in college football? I'm spending a lot of time on pro football right now. But I'm getting into it. I gather, I'm in my gathering season. I gather. Stingers up. There we go. 49er Red Zone. Stingers up. Bzz, bzz, bzz. That's Sac State to Sac State love right there. You guys just witnessed Sac State on Sac State love. Stingers up is a Sac State thing. Guys, like, give Larry time, for crying out loud. Hell yeah, Larry, he's amazing. Okay, I don't doubt it. I don't doubt. This is part of my gathering technique. I talk to people. People say, hey, check out this guy, check out that guy. Then I watch usually almost every bowl game. And by the time we get into the early part of the draft season, as Dieter would say, I'm a football sicko. Yes, yeah, well, I am watching way too much. I do, because I watch probably 5 college games. I mean, I'm sure there's guys like me out there that do the same as I do, but I probably watch 5 full college games a week. I'll watch at least 3 during a Saturday, start to finish. I'll watch an early game, a midday game, and a late game, usually, even if I got to tape it. And then I'm usually watching 2 to 3 during the week of games that I didn't see on Saturday that I just recorded that I wanted to see. I make sure that I watch every team in the country at least a half in the FBS level. So I have some idea of like what the heck these teams actually look like across the board. That's kind of my process. And then I usually, I'm an A&M fan, so I watch A&M every week. Go Aggies. Go Aggies. And A&M's got some serious dudes, by the way. Chase Besantis, the left guard for A&M. That's a guy the Niners ought to get. Besantis he's 6'6", he's a road grader. A&M does run well in short yardage because they've got these big monster offensive linemen. They just destroy people. And then Marcel Reed, my God. If you guys haven't seen Marcel Reed, go watch Marcel. Marcel's amazing. Now he's got Concepcion. He's got a bunch of guys. He's got a freshman that's really good. But, A&M stacked. A&M stacked. That's Elko got an extension because he recruits his butt off. All right, that is going to do it for us. We're only 40 minutes in, but I'm going to take a quick timeout. We appreciate everybody who jumped in here. Let me see here. What do we got there? Oh, on this, is it adding up the super chats? That's kind of bizarre. I've never seen that before. This guy says, Larry, the best wide receiver in the class is Mekhi Lemon. Dude, I'm a Jeremy Bernard fan myself. It's funny. I was talking to Matt Miller from ESPN, the ESPN draft analyst, and we're going to put that out. Jeremiah Smith is the best, as this guy points out, from Ohio State. I kind of like Carnell Lake, or Carnell Tate, I should say, from Ohio State. But and I love the kid from Louisville, Bell. Is it Chris Bell? 220-pound receiver from Louisville. Yeah, Chris Bell. Yeah, he's really good. But Jeremy Bernard, it's funny, I mentioned, and you guys can go check out the interview, but I mentioned Jeremy Bernard, how much I like Jeremy Bernard, to Matt Miller, who's a Niner fan and an NFL draft analyst. And before I mentioned to him, he's like, and Matt Miller goes, dude, he's such a Niner. He would be such a great Niner. And there is something about Jeremy Bernard that just screams 49ers. I also love that running back for Bama, that 220-pound kid. Jam is special, the running back for Bama. Love Jam. So I like some of the Bama guys. I really do. Nick Harbor is big and fast for South Carolina. Sellers, I'll tell you, is the wild card in the draft for me, because nobody throws the ball like Sellers, but he is pretty raw. But I mean, you're talking about one of the greatest arms ever, and he's really athletic. You got to develop him. He's going to take some time, but Lenora Sellers at South Carolina throws lasers, absolute lasers. I kind of like Dylan Raiola too from Nebraska, but it's funny, a lot of people don't think he's got enough arm strength. Somebody says, Larry, Caden Proctor, stay far away from, can't move. Well, I mean, not Peter Sellers. Oh, Peter Sellers. I love Peter Sellers. Excuse me, from Pink Panther, excuse me, sir, does your dog bite? And then that's Peter Sellers. And then the guy goes, no, my dog does not bite. And he goes down to pet the dog, and the dog goes, "Arr!" And he goes, I thought you said your dog does not bite. And the guy goes, my dog does not bite. This is not my dog. Classic scene. Pink Panther. For some of you old Pink Panther fans, you remember that one. That was epic. Peter Sellers. Excuse me, sir, does your dog bite? All right, that is going to do it for us. Thanks to Pig in a Pickle. Thanks to Sleeper, and thanks to Sharp Corner Sports Cards and Collectibles. And thanks to all of you. If I missed any of your supers, it's because I'm doing it on my phone and I didn't get them all. I apologize if I did. I will try to get my code up and running here for the 1045 stream with Chase Sr. I always look forward to that one. So join us at 10:45, which is coming up here shortly. What time is it? It's about 10 o'clock. Oh, we got this one from David. He says, listening live from El Paso, Texas. All right. Awesome. Very cool. Thanks for listening in El Paso. I've been to El Paso. West Texas. Ain't nothing there except El Paso. That's all there is in West Texas. Land as far as the eye can see. It's like a desert. It looks more like a desert than the desert. When I went to Arizona, I felt like Arizona looked like a desert until I went to West Texas. We got this one. Have an awesome day, Larry. Thanks for the update. Absolutely. UTEP Stadium is something. UTEP. There we go. He desperately wanted you to know that. And the cartel. Oh gosh. Oh no, let's not bring up the cartels. We're talking about West Texas. Larry, check out the guard. Wait. Oh, it's moving so damn fast. Hold on. Larry, check out the guard number 71 from Penn State. Oh, I know. You're talking about Ione, Vega or whatever. He's just a monster. Yeah, in fact, that's one of the guys that I asked. Him and the Oregon guard, Pregnon, are just beasts. The Penn State guard and the Oregon guard are the two guys that have to be investigated as far as like, could they be worth drafting in the first round too? Because they look that dominant. So anyway, I'm going to stream at 10:45 with Chase Sr. Hopefully I'll get hooked up on my laptop between now and then. Have a good one, guys. Thank you to everybody. And peace. I think we're out. If I could just figure out how to turn myself off. I could probably just leave. But then it would probably keep recording. Hold on. God. Unbelievable. No. Where's Kev when you need him? Unbelievable. Okay, well, I guess maybe, try that, try this. 24-hour stream. Guys, like Larry's struggling, LOL. Yes.